So I have 4 whips in total. So this is Whip City, population of 4. Hi everyone, welcome back to Popsicle-frog Knits. My name's Brooke. I'm the maker behind Popsicle-frog, where we do knitting podcasts, knitting videos. I've started spinning, so that's kind of a new thing that's entered the chat. And today is going to be podcast episode number 8. It's only been about 2 weeks since I filmed one, which is off of my schedule of like doing one per month, because I like to do a wrap up at the end of each month instead of doing them like every 2 weeks like a lot of other people do. So it's only been 2 weeks, but a lot has happened in the last 2 weeks. I have so many whips. It's like I never have this many whips. So don't have a lot of finished objects because it's only been 2 weeks, but I've started a bunch of projects. So we're gonna have fun talking about those. And why don't we just get into it? Okay, we're gonna start with what I'm wearing, which is my first finished object of 2. And well, technically 3. But this is the Moonless Tank by Jacqueline Slack. And it was a whip last time, and it was actually in the exact same state that it is currently in the last video, but I'll talk about that, why it's the same. I think I had just blocked this in the last video, and I was about to do the I-cord that goes around the opening of the armholes, and I had said that I wasn't going to do the like mini mock neck folded collar. I was either going to do I-cord or just leave it as it is, and so I decided to omit all of the I-cord because I tried it on and I really liked how it fit without the I-cord and without anything at the neckline too. I think a cast on bit of a neckline and then decreases looks nice, so that's what I decided to do. After putting it on, one, it's way more cropped than I thought. Like I have a short torso, so I wear crop stuff most of the time, and most of my knits are cropped because my waist is right here. But this is even like a little bit more cropped. Like you can see my stomach a little bit more than normal, which is fine. It doesn't bother me, but it is more cropped than the cropped things I usually make. I'll try to insert some B-roll if I haven't already of what it looks like. And let's talk a little bit about the construction before we get into the yarn. So the Moonless Tank is a version of Jacqueline's Moon Crush tank, which is a Intarsia project that has, I believe it's a 3-color project. So this project can be knit in 1 or 2 colors, and it's just solid panels. So because I only did 1 color, I decided to, it's bottom up. So I decided to knit the body in the round so I didn't have to seam the sides together and do a bunch of purling for the however many inches of stockinette, just because purling's not my favorite. I'll do it, but not my favorite. So I was like, if I can do it in the round, I'll do it in the round. So that's what I did. And then I split here to do the top of each side, and the panels are knit exactly the same. So it's pretty cool how she gets to where it sits nice on both the front and the back without the use of short rows in the back, because if you do the 2 color, it's reversible, which I do have a plan to do that I kind of talked about in the last episode using some yarn that I got last month. So the yarn I used is Walcott Yarns Opus in the color Summer Storm, which is sport weight yarn, and that's what the pattern calls for. And I believe it was 380 meters or yards, I'm not sure which one. I think it was meters in the yarn, and I had 2 skeins, and I actually ended up only using 101 grams to knit this. So if I want to add the I-cord, I have plenty of yarn to do it. I really could squeeze another project out of the yarn if I wanted to do another summer tank, or like just leave it and do like leave it for now, maybe do a little scarf, do a beanie, something like that. Excuse me. So that's the yarn I use. This yarn was given to me by my Scrappy Advent swap partner last December, which was run by Rebecca of the Crabab. And so I really, really love this yarn. It is a blend of, let me check. So it's a blend of merino and alpaca, which honestly is one of my favorite blends of yarn. So it's 70% wool and 30% alpaca, and it's just so soft. Yes, it's probably a little bit warm for the summer because it's wool and alpaca, but those are two of my favorite fibers to work with, and you'll see I'm using another combination of those two in one of my whips, so we'll talk about that later. And that one's in one of my favorite yarns. This is my third project using it, so, but we'll get to that when we're in the whips. So yeah, this is the color Summer Storm. I used 101 grams. I knit the size 3, which I think is supposed to have more positive ease than it does, which I'm pretty happy with how it fits. I really like it. I think it fits really nicely. And for my other one that I'm going to make, I'm going to knit a size 2, so it'll be a little bit tighter even, because I do have I can like pinch a couple of inches to get it to where it's more form-fitting. So I have 400 meters of the combined 250 gram skeins that I have, so I should have enough to knit this top again in those two yarns. Even though they're fingering weight, they're a heavier fingering weight, and there's only like a 20 meter difference between the meterage of the Opus and the meterage of the Denali sock that I'm going to be using to make the other one. So I really like this pattern. I really love Jacqueline's patterns. I knit my first pattern of hers last summer. I knit the Strata vest, which I absolutely love. It's really cute as a tank top or over a t-shirt, and it's just really pretty. Her patterns are super easy to follow, and they're really well written, and I think this is probably a really good beginner-ish project for a summer tank because you can knit it in panels, and it's a good way to learn seaming, even though I kind of hate seaming, but we're gonna do it for the finished object for the other one. Yeah, so that is my Moonless Tank. Very excited about it. I have not worn it out yet. I haven't really had the chance. I haven't gone out other than work, but because it's so like cropped, I can't really wear it to work. So maybe if I go out and like run errands or something, I'll throw it on because it's pretty casual, pretty cute. I'm very happy with it. Yeah, so let's hop on to my next finished object. Okay. So my next finished object was a whip in the last episode, and it is a pair of socks. So these are just vanilla socks, and if you've watched any of my videos, I do the same vanilla sock over and over again, so I don't really talk about the construction of the sock for more than like 30 seconds. It's really all about the yarn for socks. So let's show you the socks. They're so pretty. So pretty. I really hope that focused. And so quickly I do a 56 stitch sock on 2.25 millimeter needles. I do a slip stitch heel and then a kind of rounded toe. And yeah, I do the gusset decreases, and I know exactly how many rows to do of everything to get a sock to fit my foot properly, which I really love. The yarn that I'm using is from Paisley Knits Book Club monthly yarn club collection, and these colors are based off the book Normal People, which I mentioned in the last episode. I have not read, but I've watched the TV show, which is great. So I really should read the book. It's by Sally Rooney. And let me figure out what the names of the colors are. So the variegated color. That's the leg, and the foot is called God Made Me For You. And then the green that is the heel and the toe is You Know I Love You. So I really love these colors. I love green, and I'm very excited. They're a little bit more neutral than some of the other ones have been, so I'm excited to have a more neutral pair of socks, even though I love my like fun, really colorful socks. So excited to have these in my sock wardrobe. Wardrobe? Stash? Collection? One of those words. Pick whichever one you want, but it's my socks. Which I'm growing to have a lot of, which we'll talk about when I talk about the pair I'm currently working on, which is what we're going to start with. So we're going to head into whips because those are my finished objects. I'm not going to go over the info again about the socks. It's the exact same vanilla sock. So it is in my little sock knitting bag. I got this at Urban Outfitters like a year and a half ago, and it is the perfect bag for socks. Like one full skein of fingering weight yarn like fits perfectly, and then I have the mini skein in here, and it has little like, I don't know if you'll be able to see, it has like a little ring that I can keep stitch markers on, and it's absolutely perfect. So I haven't finished the first sock yet, so let's show you. Just want to make sure my stitches don't fall off. Stitches have not fallen off the needles. We're all good to talk about the yarn for these. Let's show you my bag fell over. Let's show you the sock. It has kind of a similar tan to the normal people socks, but it has this kind of like teal blue, beautiful is it turquoise? I don't know if it's turquoise. That felt a little bit high. We're going to show it again just in case it was. So these are the Song of Achilles book socks by Madeline Miller, I believe is the author. She wrote the book Circe, which is such a great book. I really need to reread it, and I need to read Song of Achilles because her writing is beautiful, and I love like Greek mythology and Greek history. I studied it in 7th grade quite a bit, and so I really got into it, and I love Percy Jackson, so that helps a little bit. Got really into both of those things. So let me show you the yarn a little bit closer. So that's the main color. Gorgeous. And then this is the contrast. And the names of these are, the variegated is called I Would Know Him Blind, and the contrast tonal color is Half My Soul, which like are just beautiful names. It really makes me want to read the book even more. I think it's on my like wait list for Libby on my Kindle, but I may just go buy it so I can read it. So those are the socks I'm working on. This is the May colorway, and I'm just loving making these socks every month. And so this seems a little crazy in my head. This is my 9th pair of socks that I'm working on this year, and it is the beginning of the 6th month of the year. So I've been cranking socks out like a mad woman. At the beginning of the year, all I was knitting was socks. I didn't do my first garment until March when I did my Doppio. So I had a lot of time to knit socks. I only have 8 of the pairs because I made one as a gift knit for one of my best friend's little sisters, and because I went and visited Melbourne and I really wanted to make her something. We have matching socks now, which is exciting. So 9th pair of socks, kind of crazy. We'll see how many I end up getting through, but my goal is to knit the book club colorways each month as they come out, which hopefully I will be able to continue. Plus I have some other sock yarn that I really, really want to make socks with. So let's move on to the next whip, which I'm so excited about, and it is the Stella quilt cushion. So let me grab it. Okay, I only have 4 squares left, so I have done 12. of the 16 squares, and it is this. It's so beautiful. I love it so much. And this is gonna be my first of two. I have yarn coming from Witchfire Fibers, the Sarah J. Maas Made Me Cry collection. I got the mini skein set of the tonals. And so I knew I was gonna use those to make a Stella quilt cushion, but I ended up getting a 5 skein mystery mini set from Kate of Red Door Fiber Studios when she released them a couple of weeks ago. So that's one of the only acquisitions I have this month. The other one, I had the mini skeins and I had the Song of Achilles yarn are the only two acquisitions that I had in May. Is that right? I don't know. I think that's right. Okay, let's talk about the pattern first before I get into the yarn. This is a pattern by Laura Penrose, and it is meant to look like a quilted pillow, which is just amazing how she's done this. It's just so beautiful, and I'm so excited to have the finished product. And it has been actually really fun to knit too. I knew it was going to be a little bit more of a mindless knit, and I normally, almost for every garment I make, count my rows, and I have not counted my rows for this project, and it's like a really nice refresher to not have to do that. So this is knit in 16 squares, and so you make the first square and then you pick up stitches and do the second square, pick up stitches, do the third one, and so on and so forth. And there's 4 different types of squares that you do throughout the pattern, and the pattern is so clear. When I first read through it, I was really intimidated, but there's diagrams, there's explanations, it's so well written, so well thought through, and it is just a joy to knit, because watching the colors come together and just watching it become its fully formed finished object has been so fun. All the colors are in this now. I just have to finish the green and the bright pink are the only two who have another square to add other than the cream that'll go on each of the sides. So let's talk about the yarn. The main color is Patons US, or Patons, I would pronounce it Patons. Patons US, because there's different patents, like there's Patons Australia, Patons US. I don't know if there are others, but this is the US one in Simply Wool Worsted, which I have here. So this was actually stash yarn that I bought like the first 2 weeks that I was knitting at the end of 2021. I was just buying random yarn because I didn't understand anything. And I think I was planning to make a pair of camp socks by Ozetta with this, because those are worsted weight sock, and that was the first thing I made, and so the only thing I knew how to make at the beginning, but didn't end up doing that. So I knew once I ordered the mini skeins I needed a contrast color, and I didn't even go looking for this. I just saw it and was like, wait a second, I think that'll work, because I'm knitting the size on, there's 2 sizes. I'm knitting the worsted weight gauge project because I'm doing fingering held double, which is thicker than a DK. So there's a DK and there is a worsted weight, and they end up at the same size. There's just more stitches per square for the DK version. So doing the bigger version, 5mm needles. So this is Simply Wool Worsted in just the cream color. I don't know the name of it, and thankfully this is not enough to finish the whole back, because I am going to do the knitted back and the envelope enclosure, which there's different options for the back. You can knit it and then seam it, you can knit and put a zipper, you can do a sewn back. It really just depends on how you want it to look, but I'm going to do the pillow the knitted back with the envelope enclosure in case I need to take the pillow out for some reason. If something happens to it and I need to change it, I want that option. And I don't want to do a zipper because it'll just, I won't like how it looks with a zipper. I like envelope enclosures. So yeah, that's the main color. Thankfully, I went to Joann the other day and they had 3 skeins of this left in this color, and I took this one to like color match, and they're almost exactly the same. And I'll get done with the front with this amount of yarn left, so then I can either start the back with this and maybe have a slight change in the color on the back, or just start with another skein of this and have the back be one dye lot and the front be a different dye lot. But I think because it's commercially produced and has been for so long, the colors are pretty similar. Like, there was really not a difference. So we'll see what I do. But let's talk about the minis that I've been using. So 5 of them, I think I said, were from Red Door Fiber Studios. And so it's going to be this brown that leans a little bit purpley, this bright pink, this purple, this green, and the gold. So I have 3 in here that are not Red Door Fiber Studios. So this green is going to be Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Dusty Sea Green, which I used to knit a camisole my first year of knitting, which I'm actually in a frog and make something else with, but it only used 10, for the 2 squares, it only uses 10 grams. So yeah, I'll have, even if I need more to make whatever I end up making with what I frog, I still have quite a bit left in the 3rd ball that I had bought. So this color, this kind of tan color, is from a mini skein that I got with my 1989 Taylor's Version yarn from Tiny Human Knits. I had exactly 10 grams left, and I won the most ridiculous game of yarn chicken. I took a picture, so I'll probably insert it just so you can see how close I was to losing yarn chicken and having to rip out like 2 squares. It was absolutely insane. And so this pink, this one, is less traveled yarn, which I don't think they dye anymore. It's in their 757 sock base. It's the color Belladonna, which I also used. I used to knit a ripple bralette, but I did the bind off way too tight at the back, so I also need to frog that project. But I had quite a bit of this pink left. And yeah, those are the 3 colors that are not from Red Door Fiber Studio. And the mini skeins from Red Door Fiber Studio, I don't have the name for. They were just in a little mystery set. Yeah, so that is my Stella quilt cushion. I got 4 more panels on the top, and then I'll be ready to add the back. Oh, and I am going to try to do one modification, which is I want to put I-cord around the edges once I get the back attached to the front. I saw one project do it, and it looked beautiful, and I really, really want to try doing that. I think it just adds a really nice finish to the pillow that elevates it a little bit. And yeah. Oh, there's 2 motifs that you can do when you get this pattern. I'm doing the 2nd motif. And Laura's actually releasing this pattern as a blanket that uses squares that are made up like this, and then you seam them all together and it makes a blanket, which I think would be so pretty to make at some point. But it takes a lot of yarn. So that'll be something once I have even more scraps in my stash that I think all look nice together and can make. I don't even know how many panels she made, but it's a lot of panels. So yeah, let's move on to my next whip. I have 2 whips left. So I have 4 whips in total. So this is Whip City, population of 4. And I'm really super excited about this next one. As soon as I saw the release of the pattern, I was like, I have to make that. And I was like, I have yarn that I was saving for another project, but yarn that would be perfect for this. It's my favorite commercial yarn, and let's grab it. Okay, I got my swatch, which I'll show you. And I have the project, which is in my really fun Disney 50th anniversary bag. I love this bag so much. I forgot I had it. I found it yesterday because I needed a project bag, and it's perfect because this is gonna get big. So let's pull it out. I have needle stoppers on here because I am terrified of it coming off the needles, but let's grab all of that and toss the bag to the side. So I think this is gonna be the best way to show it. This is my book club cardigan, which is a pattern that just came out by Nordland. This is my first pattern of hers, and I'm really excited. There's more that I want to make of hers, but I just haven't. I've been a little bit scared of them because they're pretty complex looking for me. I've never done cables before, so camera cut me off because I hit the 30-minute mark. And so this is my first cabled project with a cable needle because I've been terrified of cables, which after working this are so much easier than I thought they were going to be. It did take me a little while to get the hang of it. This is actually the 4th iteration of this cardigan. I got a couple rows in, had to rip out. I got some more rows in, had to rip out. Realized I was doing one of the cable patterns completely wrong, had to rip out. I was 28 rows in when I had to rip out the last time. So, but now it looks right. It was not looking right previously, and I want it to look right. I don't want big mistakes like that in it. Like if I accidentally like knit one instead of purl one, like that's a small thing that I can fix, but I could not go back and fix those cables. So I have just gotten to the point where I finished all the increases, and so it's beautiful. It has 2 different types of cables. I don't know what either cables are called, but the first one is, I don't know if it's coming through very well, but it's this little cable, and then we have this bigger cable that has seed stitch in the center of it, and there's moss stitch in between the cable sections. So just finished the increases. Now I'm gonna work the rest of the back panel, which will end up being, I think, like 8 more inches of the pattern, and then I'll pick up for the front panel and the back panel. And I'm just really excited. It's going to be a long-term whip because I am actually about to start 2 sample knitting projects. One is for Coley of Paisley Knits, and one is for Jess of Witchfire Fibers, who I've mentioned both of them already in this podcast. So I'm so excited to get to sample knit from their yarn. This will be the first sample knitting I've ever done, and I am pumped. So excited. So I'll keep you guys updated on those because I can talk about them. One of the colors hasn't been released, but the other one has. So I'll be able to show you guys a little bit, put some in black and white to do updates for the socks that I'm going to be knitting as part of that sample knit. And I'm really excited about that. So this is going to probably take a little bit of back burner because it is a more intricate knit. It's definitely not something I'm going to want to work on after I've been at work during the day. So that'll fall to more basic stockinette projects, socks, that kind of stuff, instead of this complicated, I need to think about it pattern. Which it's getting to the point where it's pretty easy for me to know what comes next, but I still am having to read the chart. So still have to keep my brain on and not just mindlessly knit. I'm hoping I'll get more used to it and get into a better rhythm, which I'm already in a much better rhythm than I was the last time I started it. So we're learning, we're growing. It's going to be an interesting rest of the project for me. So very excited about this one. So let's set that down. I have these really cute little cactus needle stoppers that I got at the Dallas Fort Worth Fiber Festival last year. I now have a bunch of really fun needle stoppers, but these were the first like fun ones that I bought. So let's talk about my last whip, which I talked about as a acquisition and plan in my last video, and let's grab it. It's in this little fun bag that I love, and it fits really well in here. I think the whole project will fit really well, and I probably should have needle covers on this project as well, but let's even see. Yeah, the needle covers fit. This is a little parrot, which I got after Jimmy Buffett died because my family's huge Jimmy Buffett fans. I grew up listening to him, and so like his fans are called parrot heads, so I wanted to get these little parrots to just kind of encapsulate that love of Jimmy Buffett that I have, which I'm actually I'm gonna get a tattoo with some of his lyrics on it that my dad's designed for me, because my dad plays guitar and sings, and he used to sing me Jimmy Buffett songs when I was little, like throughout my childhood. So it's gonna be something special, and he's designed it for me, so I'm really excited to get that tattoo at some point. But that's why I have little parrots which is me, a completely off-topic subject from what I'm working on, but I am making another 7 p.m. tank by Tiffany Ty. In my last video, I was wearing my finished 7 p.m. tank in Mesomake's soprano sock yarn in the teapot, and I mentioned in the video that I was going to make another one in this Explore Knits and Fibers yarn that is called You Do Not Yield, which I mentioned I have a tattoo of on my arm, and also I just so happen to have a cup that also says You Do Not Yield that I'm drinking out of right now. So this is from the Throne of Glass series, which is by Sarah J. Maas, who I've mentioned in the collection that Jess of Witchfire Fibers did. And if you cannot tell, I am utterly obsessed. It's the best series I've ever read. I love them so much. They were really got me through a rough time at the end of last year, and so that's why I got this tattooed on me. And I think it's just a great quote, and it just looking at it is really helpful when I'm struggling mental health wise. So really love it. But this is You Do Not Yield. So I'm working, so the body is knit in panels, and then you seam it, and then you pick up stitches for the top. And I don't know how well this is going to show up, but it is this beautiful like tealy blue with a little bit of gold with some lighter spots of blue, and I think it's going to make the most beautiful moody 7 p.m. tank. So currently I have the front panel, so this will sit here. I have one of the side panels, which is just like, it's stockinette, so it's just in a little roll. So you can't really see it unless I unroll it. And I'm working on the second, you make 2 panels of this one, so I'm working on the second one. And then I just have the ribbing left. And I'm really excited. This is a pretty mindless project, so it's really nice to have this going and have a sock going depending on what I want to work on. And so this is a really well thought out pattern. The instructions are super simple, and I'm making the size 2 this time. I made the size 3 last time, but if you were here in the last video, I ended up having to crochet elastic thread into the top of it because it was gaping so much, and I had to do it around the front and around the back. So I went down a size this time, which the size 2 is meant for a 32 to 43 32 to 34 inch bust, and I with zero positive ease, and so it's smaller than my bust size by about an inch. Excuse me. It's smaller than my bust size by about an inch. So, but because the other one was bigger on me, I wanted to go down a size. And I did not swatch for this because it's the exact same yardage as the yarn I used for the other one I made. It's a 2-ply, same as the other one, so I decided not to swatch. So that's my You Do Not Yield 7 p.m. tank. And that's all my whips. Like I said, I've already showed you all my acquisitions, and I have been spinning a little bit, but I'm kind of saving the fiber that I have that is going to be like a big spin. I'm really saving for July to try to do Tour de Fleece, because I want to be involved in that. So I'm not on a team, so I don't actually know how any of it works, but I'll figure it out. There's enough information out there for me to figure out what's going on. So I have 4 ounces of 2 different colors, so I'm just excited to spin those up, and that's kind of the spinning. I need to ply the yarn or the singles that I currently have from the Corriedale that I got in Australia, which was purple, and I think I accidentally spun one of them in the Z direction and one of them in the S direction, so I need to do a center pole ball and ply them with themselves, so I'll have 2 skeins instead of 1, but hopefully it'll salvage the yarn, because I can show you I just started to try to ply the 2 together, and it just looks terrible and not at all like my little sample that I made, which is, I showed last time, but where'd it go? Where's my little guy? There it is. This is my little sample that I made. So looks nothing like my sample. So I'm going to try the center pull ball method to hopefully save the singles that I have made, because I spent a lot of time on them. So that's kind of all the knitting. I feel like I can have a little bit of time to talk about what I've been reading and what I've been watching. If you don't want to hear about that, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. If you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing, if you could go ahead and subscribe, which would mean so much to me. And you can also follow me on Instagram at popsicle_frog. You guys are so special, and I can't believe you're here just watching me talk for 45 minutes. It boggles the mind. So I'll see you guys next time if you're not going to stay to talk about media. But if you are staying, we're going to start with what I've been watching. So my mom and I are watching Gilmore Girls, which I've watched before. She hasn't, but it's been about 9 years almost since I watched Gilmore Girls the first time. So it's really fun going back and watching it because it's such a good show. And we just finished season 4, so good things are happening. If you know, you know. And we're on season 5. So we just started season 5 yesterday. So that's fun. I do a lot of knitting with that. And I have been watching a lot of vlogs and knitting podcasts because they're just so fun. It's so fun to hear people talk about knitting while you're knitting. It's just a fun experience for me. And I have also just restarted watching Game of Thrones. So I just finished season 1. It's been also like 9 years since I watched Game of Thrones. So I just was like, I need something to watch. I like rewatching TV shows. It's sometimes, one, it's better TV knitting because I can kind of pay attention to the show, kind of pay attention to my knitting more because I do know like the big plot points, and it also, I just find comfort in rewatching shows. So that's what I've been watching. And what I've been reading. I didn't read a lot last month, so in May, didn't read a lot. I've read 22 books this year, so the other months I've read quite a bit. But the book I'm currently reading just came out on the 4th of June, and today's the 6th or the 7th. And it is Leather and Lark by Bryn Weaver, who it is the second book in their Ruinous Love trilogy. That the first book is Butcher and Blackbird, which is like a serial killer romance. I love it so much. It's so good. I read it in 2 days, and I think I gave it 5 stars. I just had such a great time reading it, and so I've been waiting anxiously for the second one to come out, so that's what I'm currently reading. And I'm about 60% of the way through, so I'll probably finish it tonight or tomorrow, depending on how tired I'm feeling when I go to bed. So that's everything I've been consuming media-wise. I haven't really watched any movies, so yeah. If you stuck around for that, thank you. I know it's quite a bit of rambling, but it is fun to talk about, and I love hearing what you guys are watching while you knit, or just watching in general. Like, let me know. I always need recommendations for shows, because I do enjoy watching new shows. It's just I'm in a mindset of rewatching right now. But let me know what you're watching. Let me know what you're working on. I love also getting ideas for projects and looking at patterns I've never heard of, because I found some really great patterns that way. And yeah, that's it. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.